Hello and welcome back to a Is It Worth Growing episode where we're going to do another modded dino, which you guys seem to really like, is the Parasaur. Now, a lot of you guys say the Parasaur is very underwhelming. You thought he was going to be a lot better. So if you guys are new to the series, this is how it works. I'll basically discuss the things I like about the Parasaur, the things I do not like about him, and then at the end, we discuss if I think he's worth your time growing or playing, or should you spend your time growing something else. Parasaur, though, first impressions, very big in size. We're going to start off with the things I like about him, and the first thing, like I just said, is his size. He's really big, probably the same size as the bars. He has 7,000 combat weight with 1,000 health, which is really good. He has 860 sprinting speed. And for a guy that weighs 7,000 pounds, he is pretty quick. The only down thing would be his stamina drain. But what I do like is his skins. He has some pretty good skins here. I know when they were making him in their the modded Discord, they did show a lot of the skins that were coming out, and you could see they did a really good job with this. I know some of them look unrealistic, but they still look cool nonetheless. Except the albino one. The albino one always looks ugly to me. But yeah, he definitely has a good amount of skins to choose from, which look really nice in color. Another thing I like is they did give him a lot of moves for his moveset. I like having a lot of options to choose from when it comes to just attacking and stuff like that. So for the head, you have a bite and you have a headbutt. The bite only does 20 damage. Do not use the bite. That is pretty much useless. Use the headbutt. The headbutt does 50 damage, and with 7,000 combat weight for 50 damage, you're going to do a good amount of damage to any one smaller than you. For front limb, you have a 4-limb flail. This is the first dino in this game that I've seen with this type of move, which is actually really cool. But it only does 35 damage per hit. Although it may not seem that high, it can do a good amount of damage to anything mid-tier or smaller, but it does require you to go into the bipedal mode. For metabolism, he has a few choices here. He can do the ability to eat clams, berries, salts, and root, or you can just eat berries and fruit, or you can eat berries, mushrooms, and minerals. He has a lot of options to choose from, and on a map like Gondwa, it shouldn't be that hard to find clams and stuff to eat around, so you shouldn't be starving with this guy at all. For hide, you have thick scales or resilient, which increases your bleed and venom resistance, which is also really good. Or thick scales if you want to really bulk them up and beef them up. For back limb, you have 3 different attacks. You have a pivot, you have a back kick, and a charge. The pivot is standing in place for 5 seconds, dramatically increases your turning speed until you move. This is the same move that the Stego has, so if you use precise movement and you move left to right, you can actually spin around really fast, good for when you're getting circled or jumped by a lot of people. He also has a back kick attack, which requires slow movement to use, which means you have to be standing still to really use the back kick, but it does do 40 damage, so it's not that bad. It's pretty good for dinos that are trying to get behind you or tail ride you and you can't really turn around to do anything. You can back kick them and that would do some damage. That could work well with the pivot as well. If you're spinning fast and you try to get them behind you so you can back kick them, that can work good together. And then you have a charging attack, which charge forward in a line rapidly. This doesn't do any damage because it's not an attack move, it's more of a running away move, or if you're trying to catch up to something, you would use this. But if you're just focusing on more PvP, I think the back kick and the pivot would be the best combination. For tail, you just have a tail attack that does 35 damage, pretty average, nothing crazy. And then for voice, you actually have 3 different calls. This is probably the only dino I could think of that has 3 different calls in the voice category. So you have Stampede, which increases the attack of all the Hadrosaurs in your group within 30 meters for 1 minute, able to stack up 4 times. Stampede gives you 1.11 times extra damage per call. So if you do this if you stack it up 4 times, that's about like probably 4.5 times more damage. Then you have Gusty, get the blood pumping, increasing damage output for 40 seconds. This gives you 1.2 times extra damage. So imagine having both of these activated. You have a friend that has this, you activate this, boom, you are a damaging machine. And then you have Conjulating Call, which is a call that increases the bleed recovery rate of all party members within 30 meters for 1 minute. This gives you 2 times faster health recovery, and I can't tell you how important that is. So having the Parasaur and a Lambio on the team so you can really heal up the rest of your pack is immensely good. It's like having a medic on your team, especially for this type of game where there's a lot of PvP, KOSing, mixed packing going on. You're going to need a guy like this on your team, so I really love that about him. And just overall, I just love his look. I love his design. He just looks amazing. Now let's discuss the things I do not like about the Parasaur. Now, although we just went through his moveset, he does have a lot of moves to choose from, but I feel like they're all pretty average when it comes to just damage. I really think the thing that makes him better is the calls he has, because he could heal fast, he could do extra damage output. But overall though, 20 damage for a bite, 50 damage for a headbutt, 40 for a kick, 35 for a tail attack. Those are all average For the guy this size, that's 7,000 weight and 1,000 health, you would think he would have like a really signature strong move. Like the bars is also 1,000 health and 7,000 combat weight, and the bars at least does 75 damage with his tail slam, where this guy's highest damage is 50 with the headbutt. So yeah, they probably go tweak that a little bit. For those of you that play the Parasaur more and have more experience with him in PvP combat, how is he in PvP combat for you guys? Does he hold his own, or does he just die really quickly? Is his moveset underwhelming or overwhelming? Or if it's balanced, let me know. Parasaur does have one of the slowest health recovery stats in the game, so if he does get injured, you have to use that healing claw. Otherwise, your health is probably going to take a little bit or a while to get back up to full. And same with his stamina. His stamina drain is pretty quick. Stamina recovery is pretty slow to average, so you just have to look out for that as well. He is a pretty big guy, so that's kind of understandable to make him more balanced. But other than that, I can't really think of anything else I do not like about him. If I missed anything or forgot to cover something, let me know in the comments also. But the question is, do I think he is worth growing or spending your time growing in community servers? It's a tough one for me because I know he's still pretty new and a lot of you want to try him out. But to me, personally, I wouldn't really use him, so I would say no. I do not think he's really worth growing or playing, but for those of you that do like him, you probably would say otherwise. Even though I feel like he has a good moveset, I do not feel like he'd really be useful in a lot of ways, so that's why I would say he's just not worth growing in my opinion. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. It definitely helps out the video and the channel, and subscribe for more Path of Titans content. Thank you for watching. See you next time.